Hey guys, Megan with Cottage Quilting. We're going over our Bucka Block program with you. I'm just going to remind you how to cut your fabric in case there are any mistakes. Most of you will have gotten your fabric already pre-cut for you, and then you just need to cut down your strips. We're using our ruler here that has our Cottage Quilting logo on it. It also has this no-slip grip. So what we want to do is we want to cut 5 1/4 squares. For our first strip, I just want to remind you how to line this up. When you're lining up your fabric, you're always going to line it up right on the corner. See how it's lined up right there on the line? I'm going to do so here. Our pattern requires only 5-inch squares, so I'm going to cheat a little bit and I'm just going to cut 5-inch. We cut you guys 5 1/2 so that you can square it down if you want. And here's my 5-inch strip. And we're going to keep squaring them down from there. You guys will already have them ready like this. I've now subcut all of my pieces down as per the pattern because we will have cut it larger, allowing you to square it down. Okay, now we're going to start using our tool. So for our first cut, we're going to line up along this center beam trim line right here. We are using 5-inch squares, and it's going to finish at 4 1/2 when it's all said and done. So we're going to use, again, this jagged line right here and this jagged line right here. So for our first cut, I put both of our sides right sides up, okay? I'm lining it up on this jagged line and the 5-inch mark. So 5-inch and there, okay? So I'm going to cut this. And then what we're going to do, I'm just going to move this so you can see it a little bit better. I'm going to move it onto the angle of this one here. So I'm not moving my fabric, I'm just moving my ruler to match that angle. I'm going to cut this like so. And now we have these pieces like this. We're going to do this for both A and B fabric. So this is how all of your pieces should look at the end. These ones we're going to get rid of, these side triangles. You can save them for another project, put them in your scrap bin, sew them together, use them for something else. Of our C color, we're going to create these side triangles. So what we're going to use now is this solid line. So I'll move this over so you can see here. We want this solid line that says side triangle trim. We've got our 5-inch strip here. So we're going to line this up with the 5-inch square or strip and cut along this. What is important is that I have, this time, my fabric wrong sides together here so that I can get a mirror image, okay? So I'm going to cut this like so. I'm going to cut, and now when I place these here, now I will be able to get a square when it's all sewn together. So now we need to cut a second set, right? So we've got this angled line. What do? What we're going to do is we're going to rotate our ruler to this second trim right here. And I'm going to place this along the bottom of my line, my fold line here. And see how I've got this angle here? I want to match this angle up to that corner. Okay, so now my second trim, I can cut like so. Move this aside. And now again, I have the pieces here to create my square. So what I've done now is I've laid out my blocks so that it looks like it's going to create the square after, just so I don't accidentally sew them on incorrectly. I've also moved my needle over to a scant 1/4 inch. So I've put on my 1/4 inch foot. I moved my needle one to the right, so one to the inside of your throat space, and that will help create a scant 1/4 inch. Now we want to start sewing our blocks together like so. What I like to do is start from the outside and work my way in because it's a little bit easier to manage. One of my favorite products right now too is the Acorn Precision Piecing Glue. So what this allows me to do is no longer use pins. I can put a little bit of glue in 3 little spots I'm going to line up my corners like so. And remember, we're going to trim these down to size. So I'm okay if they're not matching 100%. I do want to squish this over like so. I'm going to give this a little press with my iron to set that glue. And then I'm going to start sewing from here. I'm just going to daisy chain all of these and I'll be back in a moment. Now we have all of our daisy chained pieces here. I've cut one off already so that you can see what we're going to do. Now what we're going to do is we're going to trim this down to 4.5. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to have my point in the right-handed corner. If you are left-handed, she has some great tips in her booklet or on her video to show you how to do it left-handed. So now, remember how I said it didn't matter 100% if everything fully lined up because we're going to square it up. So now I want to take this point and match it to this point on here. So I'm going to match those up on my 4.5-inch line. Okay, I'm going to trim this up. I'm going to use my rotating mat here. Just one second. I'm going to line those up like so. I'm going to rotate my mat, not my fabric, and I'm going to cut. So now I've squared off that side. Now I'm going to lift it and rotate the corner because I know that side is square. Okay, and now I'm going to rotate my ruler to find that 4.5-inch mark. Can we see that here? Right there. So now, just like when you're squaring up other fabrics, I'm going to, sorry, I had to get it the right way, line this up like so. So see here now, I've got 4.5, 4.5, and I'm going to clean up these other little edges and bits. Rotate move these first. And now I have a perfectly square 4.5-inch center beam for all of these blocks. So now that my blocks are all squared up, I'm just going to push all of these together here to show you there's one version of a block that you can do. How awesome is that star block? So now I've laid my block out in the finishing aspect. You can see here I've got some directional prints. My houses might be on the sides for some of them, but I did try to get my arrows going the right way. So now the directions are to sew these 3 pieces together, these 3 pieces together, these 3 pieces together, and then sew them all together. She wants you pressing to the inside, to the E, which is this one here, and the D. Again, I'm going to use my precision piecing glue to make sure my seams all match perfect. I like to put it on the low side, so I'm just going to do a dollop here, a dollop here, dollop here, and a dollop here. Maybe one on each end for good measure. And then I'm going to flip this over, line up my seams. So as per the directions, we press to E. So you can see here when I line this all up, see here how my seams are really flat and everything is all lined up right there. And I don't have to use any pins. That's the beautiful part about this glue, and nothing is going to shift on me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this with the iron and then I will keep sewing. Stay tuned for the finished. Here's your finished block 1 for block of the month. It says not to square them up yet until March, just so that we can see how our blocks are all coming together, because we want everything to be all the same. Talk to you later. Hope you're enjoying the first block so far.